So, living in a heterosexual social construct, it is important for ourselves as social workers and fellow members of the helping profession to acknowledge the lived experience of members of the LGBTQ population rather than simply define the problem that they are experiencing and create a mission to solve that problem. It is imperative that we allow them to define their problem and express their experience so that we are not engaging in oppressive social work by acting as the teacher and giving to the individuals receiving education or the specific target and minority population. And this is expressed by the article stated in critical use of consciousness in anti-oppressive social work practice, disentangling power dynamics at a personal and structural level by Izumi Sakamoto and Ronald O. Pittner. And we really wanted to start out our video and our group project by reminding individuals to hear and understand the narrative of the individuals experiencing the oppression because it is their lived experience.
Haley, I just want to thank you guys for coming again. And I know we've been working for a handful of weeks now, kind of looking at your relationship as mother and daughter, and specifically looking at strengthening and supporting both your perspectives and where you're at. So I was just wondering if we could just touch base and kind of check in on what's transpired in the last week.
Do you want to tell him? Or do you want me to tell him?
No, I'm just really sad. I don't really want to talk about it.
You have to talk about it. That's what we came here for.
You tell him.
She thinks she's gay.
I don't think I'm gay, Mom. I know I'm gay.
You weren't like this before.
Like what?
Gay. This is not the person we raised you to be.
Well, honestly, like, I've felt this way my whole life. I just haven't told you because I knew you would react like this.
No.
Yeah.
So it sounds like in the last week a lot of conflict has transpired around Haley and then around you, Mom, and kind of sounds like you're struggling with how to support Haley with your beliefs and just your thoughts.
Yeah. I want to support her, but she isn't. What she's saying, one, it's not true, and it's also, it doesn't fall in line with our religious beliefs or what we've taught her as she's been growing up. Like, this just,
Yeah, but
this isn't true. This
those
isn't how
are
she
your
really
religious
is.
beliefs, not mine, Mom.
What do you think people are going to say at church?
I don't care what people say at church.
But
you,
I do.
You care. Yeah, you care. You care more about what people say at church than how I feel.
That's not true.
Haley, it sounds like there's a lot coming up for you right now. It sounds it's apparent that you're lacking the support and recognition that you need. If you're okay, do you want to take a minute and just kind of talk about what you've been feeling and what's going on for you?
Yeah, it's just really hard for me to like be authentic with myself and like be honest with my mom because she reacts like this every time I tell her something she doesn't like, and I just wish that you could understand that like it's not a choice that I feel this way. This is just how I am. Like,
It's not how you were.
But what do you mean by how I was?
Like, this is not the person we raised. This is not how we raised you to be.
Because, do you mean like how I was? Meaning like I'm just like more sad now? And so you think that's because I'm gay?
You weren't sad and anxious. You weren't any of those things until you told us you thought you were gay.
That's because I don't have any support. You don't support me. The people that are supposed to support me and love me, you're making me feel like I'm not worth anything.
So it sounds like, Haley, right now you're looking for support and love and guidance specifically from your mother and your parental figures, and that you're feeling that that's not there right now.
Yeah.
Well, I want to support you. How do you feel like I'm not supporting you?
I just wish that we could get to a place where like you weren't trying to understand that I'm gay and just accept that I'm gay, and we can just try to build our relationship from there.
pretty hard thing for me to accept, but I love you.
Thanks, Mom. I love you too.
I acted as a therapist in our video. I briefly was able to acknowledge and interrupt a microaggression and provide some brief education to the parent of the client. And I'm going to go a little bit in depth in how I did that and specific and concrete ways in which therapists or members of the helping profession can do so. So to specifically first address what a microaggression is, a microaggression is a verbal, nonverbal, or environmental slight that is directed towards a minority or target population. And this can be intentional or unintentional. And what it does is it conveys hostile, derogatory, negative messages to that population or marginalized group. And the first step in addressing a microaggression is to recognize microaggressions. And then the next step in addressing microaggressions is to specifically direct and speak to the microaggression that you're observing and witnessing. And a microaggression interruption would be something, if you're the third party member, so you're observing, hearing, or witnessing it, you can ask questions like, I'm curious, what makes you ask that? You can ask questions like, so what do you believe? Or why do you believe that? And then you can also convey your personal feelings. So by saying, I feel extremely upset or oppressed when you say this about LGBTQ populations, or when you say this about a minority group. So using I statements, conveying how you are feeling, and being inquisitive of how, what, and why the other person is conveying what they're conveying. Lastly, I would like to briefly touch on micro-invalidations. A micro-invalidation is a statement, phrase, or environmental message that is used to exclude, negate, or nullify psychological thoughts, feelings, or experiences of reality for certain target groups. It is stated in Sexual Orientation Microaggressions, the Experience of Lesbian, Gay, Bisexual, and Queer Clients in Psychotherapy by the Journal of Counseling Psychology that micro-invalidations are the most dangerous form of microaggressions because they negate and discredit the reality of an individual in a target or minority population. So in relation to our video, a micro-invalidation would be the mother of our daughter denying the experiences or trauma that her daughter has around being gay and living in a religious family with lots of structure and spoken and unspoken oppression towards members of the LGBTQ population.
I love you.
Thanks, Mom. I love you too.
Yeah, and so I think, Ellie, coming from a place where you want to love and support Haley, I think it's good to know that oftentimes when a youth or adolescent comes out as with their sexuality as being gay, that often things like depression, anxiety can occur and come up because they're all of a sudden facing this challenge and barrier where they're experiencing microaggressions and
What's a microaggression?
they're being isolated. A microaggression is something that, regardless of the intent, it can be a good intent or a negative intent, but it's something that is putting slight or negative impact on a minority group. For example, somebody who is gay, lesbian, transgender, bisexual.
That puts her in a minority group?
It does, yeah.
So? What happens if you're in a minority group? It's the same. She's part of our family.
Somebody in a minority group is somebody that experiences microaggressions or less privilege than the majority group. So somebody who is homosexual or LGBTQ is experiencing different circumstances and barriers than individuals in the straight world and community.
Is that actually what's going on? Is that how you feel?
Yeah. And I feel like I'm not going to get support for my community, so I need to be able to have it in my home.
We want you to feel safe at home. It is your home. It always has been.
I think this is a good point, I think, to come to and to understand, Mom, that we know that, and it sounds like Haley knows that you are trying to support her and that you're going through your own barriers and understanding of where Haley's at, and I think this is a good point to work to. And during next session, we can kind of look at how Mom, you can support Haley in this aspect and not necessarily sacrifice your religious and spiritual beliefs with your community.
Okay, that sounds good.